time for Your Money with Mary Holm, and she's right here. And in fact, she's here on afternoons every fortnight to talk about Kiwisaver and making most of the scheme and how it can be used in other ways like retirement and getting the maximum government top-ups. But lately, Kiwisaver has been a little bit of a downer with the state of the global financial markets. So today, we're going to be looking at ways to cut back on spending and dealing with the rising mortgage interest rates. Mary has lots of tips, and I'd love to know any of your tips if you're listening at home. Send them in 2101. Mary, the mortgage interest rates have affected me on a huge personal rate. In fact, even the petrol prices and everything.
Yes.
I feel like I'm in an incredibly privileged position having a full-time job, but it's hard.
Everything sort of hit us at once, hasn't it? Well, especially people with mortgages. I'm lucky I haven't got one anymore. But with mortgage interest rates going up and then petrol and food, and we're kind of getting boxed in every direction, aren't we?
It is worry. I mean, should we worry? I mean, I'm a worrier, but will it pass?
I mean, these things always do in the end. And then people say, oh, when will it pass and how much worse will it get in the meantime? and nobody knows. And meanwhile, house prices are going down and share prices are going down and everything's feeling a bit dire at the moment. And so I was thinking, and I'm getting sick of it. I write a Q&A column in the Weekend Herald and so many letters about people worried about their Kiwisaver balance going down. And what they've got to remember is that they haven't actually lost the money. As long as they stick with it, it'll come back up. It's not a loss. It's just a kind of movement in the meantime. But we're not here to talk about that today because I've talked about that quite a lot with Jessie.
Much. Yeah. And it is a constant conversation.
It is.
And it is kind of depressing. So I want let's go up and think about
I was thinking of ways to cut back your spending that aren't just the boring old buy whatever veggies are in season at the moment, which of course is an excellent thing to do. But there's some ideas out there that are they're not exactly fun, I suppose, but there's a little bit of creativity in some of them.
Oh, Mary, share.
Well, if you Google Financial Independence Retire Early, which is a movement, I think it started in Canada, but it's very prominent in North America and all over the world now, really, tending to be younger people who are planning to cut back their spending drastically now so that they can retire early, saving furiously. And they save as much as 70% of their income.
70?
And I think some people are even saving 80. I mean, they
must not have mortgages if they can do that.
I'm probably not the ones that are saving that much. I mean, some of them are more like saving 25% of their income, but that's still pretty big by most people's standards.
Yeah.
They
because Kiwisaver is usually 6% or something, isn't it?
3% from you. Yeah. They grow their own veggies and things like that. But the key, I think, and I'm not suggesting that most listeners probably wouldn't want to do anything quite as radical. And in any case, do you really want to retire at 45? I think, in some ways, I think yes, but then
I think I'd get bored.
No, yes, exactly. I think you get bored.
I'd have to do charity work or something to keep me active.
Yes, you could do charity work, or you could go back and earn an income and give it all to charity, give all your income to charity or whatever. But the point is that there are a lot of ideas on the websites that look at FIRE that of ways to cut back your spending. And by the way, in New Zealand, Money Hub website has got a lot of information about FIRE. And if you read that, then you end up going on through to the Happy Saver, which is another website that's got quite a lot about cutting back your spending. If you just Google, if you Google FIRE, because I did that this morning, up comes fire department and all of that sort of stuff. So you've got to Google Financial Independence Retire Early to get the tips. But I reckon that people could sort of compete with their friends to see who can save the biggest percentage of their income, or
that would be quite fun.
Well, it could be. And doing things like, I've talked to Jessie before about how I once heard of a woman who wore the same dress everywhere. she must have had several copies of it, but it was kind of a protest against the fashion industry.
I remember that story too. It was a black dress.
Yes, yeah. And I reckon people could start doing that, at least wearing, the guys could perhaps wear the same shirt and the women could wear the same dress or the same top every Saturday night for the people you mix with socially, just make a thing instead of feeling, oh God, I've worn this one 3 times already, I better go out and buy something new. Do the opposite and say, no, here I am again in my favourite, whatever it is.
That could be quite fun, especially if it was like a silly jersey or something.
Yes, that's right.
Own it. Own it.
Absolutely. Or I find friends who, if you go around to their place for dinner and they turn on really expensive wines and, fabulous expensive food, I'm a bit intimidated about having them back because I'm not that good at choosing the right wine anyway and not a very interested cook. And I was thinking, I'd quite like to say, okay, come around and have fish and chips and supermarket beer or maybe splash out on something decent to drink. But you can have just as good a time as the thing. It isn't about the food.
Hosting a dinner party can be really expensive. I mean, the meat alone can be, $70 or something like that. So you're right. Keep it fun and make a joke out of it.
Yes, and just sort of say, look,
Fish and Chip Friday.
You'll come. Yes, please come round to dinner, and we're going to be spending $5 a head in total, or just make it something a bit different, and just say the winds of change are blowing, and we're going to do things the other way round now.
Someone's actually just messaged in, Jane, and she said she's simmering a chicken carcass with some other goodies for her chicken soup, much cheaper than the bought stuff. She also tries to do her chores all in one go, trying to minimise the use of car and petrol costs.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cutting one's cloth up large, she says. Another person says that Gatsby is an app. I think you're right. I think it might be Gatsby. Gatsby's an app that tells me where to buy the cheapest fuel in town. Gaspy.
Yes, well, you know how there's Price Spy out there? Well, this might be Gas Spy that's got turned into Gatsby, perhaps.
You're right.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, you're right. Yeah.
That sounds neat. That sounds like a good, cutting back on petrol, because we're all horrified at what happens when we go to the petrol station these days, aren't we?
I know. I do find that the petrol stations are giving out a lot of discount cards, or those cards.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
or my one is, and if you swipe your card, you can get a discount or something like that. So I'm definitely taking advantage of that.
No, good on you, because this $100 plus, at the petrol station is horrific. I've got a couple of more ideas, but
go
have
ahead.
You got ideas there too?
No, you go.
Just stay away from the shops. A lot of New Zealanders go to the mall for recreation in the weekend, and I can't relate to that because I just don't like shopping, but I know a lot of people do. But try and think about other things to do, outdoor things that are free, or go to the movies, but which does cost money, but it's not as much as spending the afternoon in a mall and spending hundreds of dollars on clothes and things like that. Just think about where you're going to have your fun.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And what about online shopping? I saw actually last night on the TV, there was a story about women, actually it was 50-50 men and women, but that have a few drinks and then go online.
Oh no, yes, that's a
apparently it's really common.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah, after you've had a couple of wines, I guess, or beers, you get, and what surprised me is I thought it would be more females than males, but it was 50-50.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Because when we go shopping into a real shop, we don't tend to have drinks first, do we? Because of the time of day, probably. When you're actually going into shops, it's daytime. Yeah. Whereas when you're doing online shopping, it's the evening, and you had dinner and you've had a bit of wine and etc. Yeah, that's
that will look
scary.
fabulous on me. I know
Yes.
it is, and apparently the anxiety that the people get the next day after spending, like not only because of the alcohol, but also they've just spent $300 on this dress that might not look very good on them.
Yes, yes, that's.
Someone has said drive slower. It saves 10%, which is more than 20 cents per litre of fuel.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's can I just say, if people drive slowly, as one who lives on a road that's windy, please pull over for people who want to drive a bit faster. Yeah.
I request that too.
Yes, yeah.
I'm a big op shopper actually, and so is my daughter. And
Brilliant.
someone else has said I op shop for all my clothes and stuff for the home. It's fun finding great things. There's a buzz.
Yeah, and that's the sort of thing we're looking for, because that can be fun. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the mall, go out to Save Mart or a big op shop or something and see.
Yes.
Challenge yourself if you can find an outfit that you'd wear there, probably for $12.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get
that's
old clothes repaired, someone said. And a lot of people talking about not buying cheap clothes. Small New Zealand businesses are struggling more than ever post-lockdowns and need your support. Live your life, support local and be happy, someone says.
Yes, now that's, through the COVID whole crisis, there have been times, crisis is not the right word, but times when people have said get out and support local business. And I find that tricky, because it can mean that we're encouraging people to spend in ways that aren't very clever. Look, I don't want all the local businesses to hate me, but it's really a good idea to set yourself perhaps a week. You think you want to buy something, but if it's not an essential thing, say, I'm going to put in my diary that it's this Tuesday, I've decided that next Tuesday I'm going to come back and see if I still really want it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or if you have had a few wines apparently online when you're shopping, you
Yes.
just put it in the basket. You don't press pay, and then the next day you come back and look in your basket.
That's a great idea, yes. Yeah, yes.
Lots of people are suggesting not to buy fast fashion. What are some other good tips?
Now, why are they saying not to buy the cheap clothes? Is that because they fall apart, I suppose?
I guess because they fall apart, they don't last as longer. And then supporting New Zealand businesses, you can shop. It's better to buy with New Zealand made, perhaps.
Yes.
And it will last longer and be more quality.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense.
Another person. To save money, I'm learning to cook and eat pulses, e.g. red beans with sweet dates as a sweetener. So basically, they're eating very healthy, only half soup as a base, and they've also lost a lot of weight as well. So they're not buying takeaways and things.
Yeah, now that's when you can actually save money and at the same time help your health. That's a double whammy, really. You can, if you can lose weight or cut back on cigarettes, cut back on booze, cut back on things that are actually not very healthy.
It's a win-win.
It is a win, literally a win-win. Yes, yes, that's good. Yeah.
Now, there's real other obvious ones, like, if we, especially post-COVID, I live in one of those households that we had before I cut them, Netflix, Disney Plus, all the TV ones. But actually, we've culled them and just sticking to one or two, and that's saved a lot of money.
Has it?
Yeah,
Yes,
well, I think
yes,
even some of those, they're only $10 to $15 a month, but it all adds up if you've got
sure
5 of them
does.
or something.
Even just thinking, when something's $10 a month, just think of it in a year's, this is $120 a year, instead of thinking because $10 always feels like nothing. But when you multiply it out for a year, 120 is actually quite a lot of, it's a noticeable amount of money.
That's a really good way to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, it just sort of helps you get your head around it.
Yeah.
Another thought is separate bank accounts. Apparently a lot of the banks are pretty good at letting you set up several different sort of everyday bank accounts and have one for fun and another for the groceries and the petrol, etc. And then obviously don't overspend. Once you've spent the fun money, you've spent it.
Mary, how much money are we allowed to put in our fun account?
$10 a week. Look, to each their own. But maybe start out reasonably generous and then gradually reduce it by $5 a week or $5 a month or something. I mean, those gradual changes make things a heck of a lot easier.
Absolutely, small
Yeah.
habits, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Buying a hybrid car has saved me heaps in petrol. Another person
good one.
says, money saver, ride a bike. A bit of a no-brainer, really. Amazed you haven't mentioned it.
Yes.
Another person says, kind of what you were saying, $1 a day theory. Whatever you pay, you must get that many days usage out of it, or don't buy.
Oh,
Also, like a jacket, if you were going to spend more money than you thought, I kind of get
yes,
that.
that's and just the hybrid and the bike are good examples of the win-win, because you're not only saving money, but you're helping the environment, which is hugely important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've started shopping at Pack and Save only because, lots of texts are coming in, sorry. I've started shopping at Pack and Save only because they moved close to my house, and I'm saving at least $20 a week on groceries. That's very, very
That's
good.
good. Yes.
Make your own beer. I've saved thousands of dollars over the years, and it's a very fun hobby, Justin says.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I like that too. That's very fun. Turn off your heated towel rail and plugs.
Oh, do they use a lot of power, do they? I've got my heated towel rail on a timer thing, actually, where it goes on for only 4 hours out of every 24 hours. And supposedly, that obviously saves on electricity. Just set it for, right before you're likely to be using it,
Yeah.
or half an hour before. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite wise.
But turning it off altogether. I mean, in the winter it is nice to have one, but
Especially if you're in a cold, villa or cold house.
Yes,
Yeah. Look
yeah.
after your health. Don't cut down on heating.
no,
'Cause otherwise you might be
absolutely.
paying more in doctor bills.
Yes, and just misery. Yeah, yes.
Mary Holm, thank you so much for coming in. I love it how you're so sensible but yet fun as well.
Thank you, Charlotte. And I was just saying to you, I love your Saturday music program too. So it's a mutual admiration society going on here.
I think I've thrown a couple of people actually of being on the radio this afternoon. People think it's a Saturday hearing my voice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. And then they say, it's only Thursday.
It's only Thursday. Mary,
Thanks.
thank you. We'll see each other
Thank
again
you,
soon.
yes.